Welcome, Sumit, to the interview. And as you know that this interview might be recorded and posted on the YouTube channel and other social media that we have. So I welcome you to this session. So I've got your CV in front of me, Sumit. So
Okay.
maybe it might be a good idea if you can start up with an introduction to yourself, what you have done, and what are your aspirations.
Okay. So, sir, my name is Sumit Rajkumar Pawar. I am from Karad city, which is in the Satara district near to Pune. I am learning AWS from past 1 year, and my motive is that to learn AWS and to get a job. But after completing AWS, I decided to move on DevOps because it is interesting. So, after completing AWS, I moved to DevOps tools and methodologies, and then I started learning DevOps tools. Now I am learning Jenkins. I have a little bit knowledge about Jenkins, but I haven't yet performed any practicals on it. But I performed practicals on Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, that kind of tools and technologies.
Okay. And you said you passed out this year itself, right?
Yes,
Okay.
this year.
So, and in which stream? Was it in computers or was it in electronics? I couldn't see it from your CV.
Okay, in BCA,
Oh, you did
Bachelor of Computer
you did a
Application.
BCA from okay, I got it.
Yes.
Tell me, what did you learn in BCA?
So I have learned in BCA like various programming languages like C, C++, then Java. But when I learned that programming languages, I think that it is hectic work to do like a developer. So I decided to move on DevOps and to learn AWS. And after that, I started learning AWS. And in my BCA, I also learned database like Oracle, that kind of things.
Okay, all right. So because you are a fresher, Smith, so this interview might not go too deep into technical because I understand that you're just coming from a very fresh background. But still, we'll have to ask and go a little bit of in depth. Now, you mentioned in
Okay.
your CV that you have worked in AWS,
Yes.
proficient in cloud platforms.
Yes.
Tell me what have you done in AWS?
So I have knowledge about 2-tier applications, 3-tier applications, then EC2, VPC, S3, that kind of AWS services, and also on Docker, Kubernetes.
Okay. Have you built any
Yes.
project on AWS?
No,
You
but I
haven't built.
have done practicals.
uh,
Practicals.
When you say practicals, what do you mean by practicals?
Practicals mean practicing that things in our
Okay,
level.
so you practiced AWS in your own isolated environment.
Yes, in isolated.
Okay. Tell me about the concept of IAM.
IAM. So IAM is basically the identity and access management. IAM is a globally centralized service that allow us to manage users, group, and roles. So IAM contains various types of components in it, like user. User is a individual or entity. There is a roles is entity. It is similar to the user, but it is an entity, and user is an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a groups. So group is a the combinations of user, and when we assign any role or policy to that particular group, at that time it is inherited by that the user that present in that particular group. So in this way, there are various. There is a policies also, which is a JSON documents, and yes, these are the components of I.
Okay. So I'll give you a scenario. So let's say
Okay.
your company has hired a new developer, so
Okay.
who needs access to specific AWS resources, right?
Hmm.
So how will you use IAM to grant the necessary permissions to the developer?
Okay. So first, I will create a new user. I will create a first new user, then ID, password, and share them with that developer. And then, if that developer has a particular work and the particular group is present in my AWS account previously, then I will add that user in that group. If I have to assign different types of work to that developer, then I will assign it by manually by assigning them policies, roles, etc.
Okay. And what do you understand by an IAM policy?
IAM policies are JSON documents.
And what do they contain?
They allow us to what type of access we have to do in IAM
Okay.
and what not.
If I ask you to write an IAM policy,
Hmm.
would you be able to write one without?
No.
Okay. All right. So my question was like without looking at the JSON and the attributes, but it's okay. You already answered.
Yes.
Now, let's say your company has a requirement to rotate IAM passwords every 90 days. Okay. How
Okay.
would you automate that?
Uh, I think no idea, but I will, yes, it is for a security purpose. I will automate, I will grant them list privilege access for security purpose. But in case of automating, I don't have any idea about that.
Okay. Now, understand that you have a large number of IAM users in your organization. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Hmm.
how do you manage and audit the IAM permissions?
I am permissions. Okay, if a large number of users in my AWS account, then I will make the parts of, on the basis of group, and I will assign permission to that groups.
Okay. And
And yes, I
how would
will
you do it? Audit
group them
of it?
into different types of group and
No,
assign permissions.
I got it that you will use
That's
groups.
it.
Probably you will have to use roles as well. But how would you conduct audits whether those groups and roles, all
Can
the
I audible?
developers that are there, are they supposed to be in there? How would you do that sort of auditing?
Hmm.
All right, let's go to the next question. Okay.
Okay.
So, how will you protect your IAM credentials and prevent any unauthorized access?
I will prevent any unauthorized action access by using MFA,
Mhm.
multi-factor authentication,
Yep.
and I don't share that credentials anywhere on social media platforms like WhatsApp,
Yep.
etc. I will store them in a safe location, and yes, I will use MFA, multi-factor authentication, which is extra layer of security. Uh, we are able to do secure our IAM with the help of MFA. So I will use
Okay.
MFA.
All right.
And also there is a access keys, SSH keys there for security purpose. I will delete access keys if they have work done,
Yep.
and I will deactivate that access keys when
Okay.
work done.
All right. Just to add to it, so what you can also do is you can monitor some IAM activities. So there are tools to monitor it. So maybe for the next time, you can also use like AWS Cloud Trail to monitor any IAM activity and any suspicious behavior that is coming on.
Okay, okay.
All right. Now coming up to the next one, you said that you have worked on EC2 and S3 in your own personal capacity, right? And I understand that you have not worked on any project.
Yes.
So tell me, what's the need of auto scaling and load balancing?
Okay, so assume that we don't have auto scaling in our resources. At that time, if need arises, particularly, so at that time we are not able to guess the perfect capacity of instance at that time because we are not able to guess. And when we are using auto scaling, at that time it automatically adjusts the capacity of instances based on actual uses. And load balancer, the difference between load balancer and auto scaling is that load balancer helps us to uh, minimize the response time, and also it avoid overloading any single unit. Auto scaling is basically there are various components. We create auto scaling group, and if we assign load balancer to that, then load balancer will pick up a traffic and then sends that traffic to the backend instances. And also there is a one advantage of load balancer, that load balancer removes unhealthy instances. So it provides us high availability. and distribute traffic evenly, not on a particular single unit, but
Mm-hmm.
evenly.
Okay.
So that avoids overloading any single unit. So that is the advantages of auto scaling and load balancer.
Okay. All right. So let me go through a scenario. So let's assume that you're running a high performance web application on an
Okay.
EC2 machine. So how would you troubleshoot and optimize the application's performance? So if it starts experiencing any slowdown.
Okay, so I will first check if any. I will check the auto scaling and load balancer. Auto scaling. I will check auto scaling is working fine or not. Then I will to minimize the response time. I will check load balancers. Load balancer is helpful to minimize the response time. So I will do that things.
And
And nothing.
all right. So I think that that's not the right answer. So the
Ah,
first thing that you need to do is to monitor the resource usage. Right.
okay.
So because you're experiencing slowdown, so you need to monitor what is the problem. So because you straight away jumped into load balancers and auto scaling, right? So you don't need to do that. First, you will
Hmm.
monitor the resource usage. So you'll use CloudWatch to monitor maybe CPU, memory, any disk IO. What is the problem that you're having? You would also
Okay.
go and check some application logs. That will
Okay.
tell you exactly where the bottleneck is happening. So it might be an application performance issue, right? Not necessarily the infrastructure.
Okay.
Now, you will have to then profile the applications, do some sort of performance related code analysis.
Hmm.
You can optimize some database if that is coming up in the application logs. So
Hmm.
also you can use some caching methodologies, for example, memcache or any other like uh, caching mechanism. So it's a, memcache D and Redis. So these are two in cache memory that you can use
Okay.
if it might be a network configuration. So unfortunately,
Hmm.
you didn't mention any of these, right? So,
Okay. Okay.
all right.
CloudWatch is important because auto scaling also uses
CloudWatch is important,
CloudWatch.
and you need to be very methodological in your answer. You don't need to just jump onto the troubleshooting. You will have to go to the different steps, as I told you, as to how
Hmm.
you would actually identify the problem, and then you would find the root cause of it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next question. So
Hmm.
let's say you've got a large scale application that requires high availability and fault tolerance.
Hmm.
Right? So how would you
Yeah.
design that?
So I will design uh,
And
three tier,
yep, okay,
three
go
tier
ahead.
or two,
Yep.
three tier application.
Yeah, it's a three-tier application.
Okay, so I will design it. First, I will deploy that application into different subnets, make the parts, web server on one tier, which is a public subnet. Then others are private subnet. Then I will create also auto scaling groups for that. Then
Yep.
load balancer.
Okay.
And for high availability, I will use auto scaling. And for fault tolerance, their auto scaling also helpful, and load balancer is also helpful for fault tolerance. So in this way, I will create application.
Okay. What do you
Yes.
understand? So with the same context,
Huh.
so what if you need to include disaster recovery as well? What would you do?
Disaster recovery. Yes, I understand. I will put my application. I will into different availability zone. If one availability zone crashes, at that time we are able to recover. So it is one consideration while creating load balancer. We have to direct traffic into different types of different availability zones, and we have option while creating load balancer. I will select that option. I will direct into different availability zone. So it will be helpful for disaster recovery.
Okay. So let's say you have got EBS volumes which are connected to EC2 instances.
Yes.
How would you create a data restore or a database backup of those EC2 EBS volumes?
So we know that the each EC2 instance has a each their EBS, and we are able to detach it and attach it. We are able to detach and attach. So when in case of if we need a data from that particular EC2 instance, then I will access that EC2 instance, and I'm able to attach it to other EC2 instance.
All right. The, the right answer would have been that you would create snapshots of those EBS volumes, and then
Okay.
that snapshots can be used just in case if there's any disaster recovery required.
Okay.
I think you need to still do a little bit of brush up on. I've just asked you just EC2, and
Hmm.
now tell me about S3. So I'm sure you know about these buckets and how they store the data.
Yes.
So let's assume that you need to store large amount of data that is infrequently accessed, but it needs to
Hmm.
be retained for, let's say, 7 years or 10 years for compliance purposes. So how
Hmm.
would you optimize the storage cost of this type of data?
No idea, but yes, I will store data in S3 object. And what is the question?
How would you optimize the storage cost of an infrequently accessed data?
Storage cost. No idea.
Have you heard about S3 Glacier
Yes,
archives?
I heard about S3 Glacier. It is a less if we are using Glacier, it is less costable than the other S3 types,
And
S3
what does
storage type.
Glacier do?
What?
What does Glacier do?
Glacier stores data and it, for example, if I want to access that data from year basis, I will use S3 Glacier because it is less costable also, and it is Glacier also used for to put data when we are accessing that data on yearly basis.
Okay.
So I will put that data into Glacier, S3 Glacier.
When you say yearly basis, what do you really mean by yearly?
Yearly means when I was learning the AWS concept at that time, they told me that when you have to store data and you have to access that data, not much, not very much on a yearly basis. At that time, you will store that data into S3 Glacier because it is less costable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's consider a scenario that you have got a large number of S3 objects which need to
Okay.
be processed and analyzed.
Hmm.
So you got the data in S3 and you need to process and analyze them.
Hmm.
What are the different AWS services that you can use to process and analyze S3 objects?
Process and analyze. So I will use there is one service named as AWS Cloud Trail, I think, that is used along with the ES3 to share the data like uh, images, audios, videos. Like there are various use cases of S3. We use S3 for static website hosting also for backup and databases to take backups of databases. And there is also use case of we use S3 along with the AWS. I think it is a cloud trail or
You have no idea what CloudTrail is, right?
yes, I think it will be cloud trail.
It's not CloudTrail.
That
Okay, tell
is,
me what is CloudTrail?
I think it is used to share data based on geographical location. I'm not able to recall the name of that service, but yes, I know the working of that
It's
service.
okay. I think you need to go and brush it up. It cannot be CloudTrail at all. A CloudTrail is something very different. Okay, so the right answer for this. So I asked you the question that you've got a large number of S3 objects and you need some AWS services to process those objects. So the
Hmm.
first thing that you can use is AWS Lambda. Right? So AWS
Okay.
Lambda is a function, so you can process S3 objects using AWS Lambda. You can use other services as well. So AWS Glue is there, AWS Athena is there. You can optimize some data storage using prefixes or folders to improve the query performances. Some
Hmm.
sort of intelligent tiering you can do with S3. So different sort of services that you can attach with S3, but AWS Cloud Trail is not one of them, and it's not really a use case what you were talking about. But
Okay. Okay.
all right. I think you really need to brush up your AWS knowledge.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm running short of the technologies that you have mentioned. You haven't mentioned any CI/CD in your CV. So you have
Yes.
mentioned cloud platforms and containerization, Docker and Kubernetes. So what happened to CI/CD?
Yes, I'm going to learn CI/CD in this upcoming month.
Okay,
Uh, in process.
okay. So you haven't really worked on any of the tools, Jenkins or GitHub
Yes,
Actions,
little bit.
GitLab.
I know about little bit about CI/CD. That is, it is basically the software development life cycle. Jenkins is used to automate software development life cycle. Like it take code from developer, then that code goes to the Git, which is one a version control system. Then that code is goes to the for building purpose to the Maven. We are also able to do that thing without Jenkins manually by installing Maven in our system. But Jenkins is used to perform that all tasks. Like that code goes for the building, then that code goes to the unit test, then for deployment, then for auto test, and then at final that code is stored in Artifactory. Artifactory is the location where we store code when that completely uh, executable and error free.
Okay, so did you say in Artifactory you store the code?
Yes.
So you're storing already the code in Git. Why do you need Artifactory then?
Because Git can the code present in Git can contain some errors, but the code which present in the Artifactory is uh, uh, is passed through various types of process, and after that, at final, that stored in the Artifactory. So the code present in the Artifactory is tested code.
So you mean that Artifactory is like another source code repository, and Git
No, no,
contains your unfiltered code, and Artifactory contains your filtered and tested code.
no,
Is that
no.
what you're
It is
saying?
code present in the Artifactory is tested, we build on Maven. After that, we perform various types of processes, and after that, code store in the Artifactory. It is not like a version control system. It is a location where uh, code stores.
Okay, I'm still trying to get your wordings right. When you say
Okay.
code is stored, so code is stored in Git. What do you
Hmm.
store in Artifactory?
We don't store it automatically. It is a when I was learning from YouTube, at that time they told me that Artifactory is the location where the code store after all the process is done.
Okay. Tell me what is a binary file?
Binary file. uh, in case of Docker, the binary template is we
No,
call
just
binary
just in
template.
general, just in general, what is a binary file?
Binary file is in the format of I think 0 1. Binary template also there is an image we call in Docker binary file which is in the key pair format.
Okay, you're going way
Okay.
out of line. I don't know what to say, but yeah, you're completely off track here.
Okay.
Uh, Now I can explain you Artifactory what it does, but probably this is not the right session.
Hmm.
But you would store any sort of artifacts that are generated out of the code. So it be
Hmm.
a jar file or a war file. So these are the binary files. These are all compressed. These are all compiled files, and
Hmm.
these are executables which you can store. So now you can have different types of repositories in Artifactory. So you can have Docker repository, npm repository, you can have
Hmm.
a generic repository. You can have any sort of Maven, or there are around 28 or to 30 types of repositories that you can create in Artifactory. Have you seen Artifactory at all?
No,
You haven't
I
seen
have
it.
not much practiced the Jenkins. I just completed one or two sessions.
Just one or two sessions. All right. So we cannot go any further with your CI/CD.
Okay.
The other thing that you have mentioned is containerization, Docker and Kubernetes,
Yes.
right? So tell me why do we need Docker? Why can't we just run everything on Unix?
So we need Docker for packing the softwares in the container, and then Docker helps.
I'm going one level back on it. Why do we need a container?
Container, we need a container because when there is no Docker in previous days, at that time there is version mismatch errors are happening. So container contains the all the things related to the project, like Docker container, like code, system tools, uh, libraries, dependencies. So they are because of container we are able to solve the version mismatch errors. So that's why we need a containers.
Okay. And what does Docker do
So Docker is helpful for us to build, share, and runs applications with the container
with the with containers?
with
And how
containers.
can one container communicate with each other
Uh, One container in Kubernetes or Docker.
in Docker? So if you have two containers
Huh.
that you have spawned, how would
Hmm.
you connect each container?
Okay.
So there needs to be some traffic flow. Let's say you've got two applications running and you need to connect from one container to another container. So there has to be some sort of networking. How would you introduce
Networking.
networking between Docker?
Okay, so I will use, I don't know exact concept of networking in Docker, but I know the concept of networking in Kubernetes. Uh, in Kubernetes, we use first, there is a multiple containers in one pod. At that time, we use networking concept for the containers to containers,
Yeah.
like we install curl to communicate between two containers, and by using kubectl pod name, kubectl exec pod name, then -it -c container name, hyphen slash bin bash. This command, we go inside container and we simply install curl to communicate with another container. I know this networking concept in Kubernetes, but not exactly
No,
in
you have to
Docker.
do it through Kubernetes so you were following the right track. So it has to be through either a Docker orchestration layer. So either Docker Compose or Kubernetes would do that. So that is the right answer. You were following the similar track, so which is okay.
Okay.
Now, let's say you need to create a Docker image for a web application that has multiple dependencies. So
Okay.
how would you structure a Docker file to ensure that all the dependencies are covered? Uh,
Uh,
and how would you ensure that the image size is not too large?
Image size not too large. Uh, I don't have exact idea about that, but there are various components of Dockerfile. I will take the base image by using from, or
Mhm.
it could be a minimal operating system or a pre-configured software. I will
Right.
take that. Uh, then I will use uh, like there is a copy and add instructions
Mm-hmm.
to take a code from our local system to in Docker, and there is a add which is used for tar files, and also taking code from the on the URL basis, and other components like CMD, which run commands when the container is started, and there is a run which runs the command in the shell. So I know this type of format, but yes, not in exact way.
Okay.
That yes.
So one of the key answers that I was looking in this response was to use multi-stage build Docker file.
Okay.
You were missing on that. Do you know what a multi-stage build Docker file is?
No, I haven't listened about this.
Okay, all right. So tell me what do you understand between a monolithic and a microservice application?
Monolith and microservices. So that services comes under Kubernetes. Like the best example of monolith service is the government website. When we are trying to fill any form, at that time the whole website is crashed. So the reason behind that, if one service is crashed, then the whole website is crashed. But in microservices, when one particular service get fails, it does not affect other services. like we see the Instagram, when like in previous days the Instagram Reels is not working, but the messages feature, other story features are working slightly. So in microservices, this will happen. If one service fails, it does not affect other services.
Okay. Now tell me, if an application contains lots of microservices, how do these microservices interact with each other?
Uh, no idea, no idea about this, but I think it would, with the help of networking.
Okay. It's very funny. You said the government website example with Instagram. It looks like you have a pre-made answer which you already had this from your
Yes,
from somewhere. But do you know? Well, you really don't know about the how the microservices networking happened, right? So,
yes,
all right. So I think there are a lot of questions which which I can ask you, but I'm not sure if you will be able to answer it, Sumit. I think
okay,
you need a little bit more preparation.
okay,
So your CV just mentions AWS, Docker, and Kubernetes, just three things, and yeah, that is not really sufficient enough. Just as a
yes,
feedback. Plus, when
yes,
I'm asking questions on these technologies, uh, you don't really have much idea, and you have yourself mentioned that I have no idea. So that's not really
yes,
a great thing in an interview.
yes,
So
yes.
I would
I will
suggest
prepare.
that rather than just reading about these technologies, watching YouTube videos, going through
Okay.
courses which just tell you about uh, this is how it is,
Hmm.
you need to do a lot of hands-on, right? So
Okay.
hands-on on each of these technologies, and you need to work in in the context of a project. Because if
Yes.
you are not working on the context of a project, you will not be able to answer any scenario-based questions. And uh, I can't remember if you answered even one or two of the questions in a way that I was expecting it. So not just because you're a fresher, but
Yes.
nowadays, even with freshers, these are the questions which are all valid questions to be asked to a fresher. And
Yes.
you would expect that if as a fresher as well, you would have knowledge about all these. So I'm not asking you to explain lots of large projects or how would you any complex scenario. So these are all very basic scenarios which you would expect that even a fresher who has got a little bit of curiosity to understand the technologies.
Hmm.
I'm not looking out for a ready-made answer just based on the definition of whatever you have understood. But actually,
Hmm.
if you have worked on projects, then you will be able to articulate your answers more.
Yes. Yes.
So I
Definitely. I
think,
will.
yeah,
Okay. I will. I will work best. I will
yeah,
do forwards.
yeah. So, and there's always time to do that, right? So if and
Yes.
it's good to receive this sort of feedback because then you can prepare for it. Uh,
Yes. I
and
will
don't take it in a hard way that you are not successful in this interview, but the outcome for this is that you have got a path to work on. You work on the projects, you work on all these technologies, try to
prepare.
understand the concept behind each one of them. Each technology
Yes.
has got a very specific set of concepts, and
Hmm.
try to understand why a specific task is done in context to a technology.
Yes.
So I thank you very much for your time today, Sumit, and
Yes, sir.
I hope the next interview that we will have sometime, you will be able
Yes.
to
I will
answer all
prepare
the
best, and it's not over. It's just a starting. And thank you for
absolutely,
your guidance.
absolutely. So
Yes.
take this interview as a positive feedback for you, and
Yes.
you will do very well once you have completed the projects, you have worked on technologies and done hands-on stuff. Yeah, no problems. And not if you're not doing great in an interview, it's not really a problem because you always have a chance to learn, lean towards it, and then work with it. So I think it should be all good.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
just
you.
work hard, prepare, and I think
Yes.
as a fresher as well, the times have changed a bit. The expectancy from of knowledge from a fresher is now really too hard, and
Hmm.
it would be possible to go to great lengths if you're doing hands-on.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you
Okay.
for your time, Sumit. And I'll
Yes,
see you sometime in the next one.
yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Bye.
Thank you.